guys, welcome to the Homestead. So today it seems like we are continuing the descent into chaos in this country, and really what it comes down to, as I have said over and over on this channel, it's a breakdown of the moral compass that we once had as Americans. It's not there anymore. We just don't have it. And so this is where we're at. And it's not coming back. You know, I think people think, oh, if we just pray and do all these things. No, we're, in my opinion, living in the last days, and this isn't coming back. The only way this is going to be reestablished is when the great reset button is hit, if you know what I mean. So today, there's an article that I want to share with you that kind of hits close to home, or what used to be home, because we moved out of St. Louis years ago, back in 2012, because I saw all this coming to fruition. This was going to continue happening. I saw the trajectory this was heading on, and I'm like, we got to pop smoke. I want to get out of here. This is not a good and safe place to raise my children. I don't want to be around all of this chaos, and it's only going to get worse. So there was an article that came out this last week, or a few days ago, talking about how Kansas City is descending into chaos. And this is on the other side of the state. It's the other very liberal partition of the state. It's very left-leaning. And same with St. Louis. And it took a little bit longer for it to get there. St. Louis, if you don't know, is basically a ghost town now. It's been that way for a long time. I remember years ago, back when I was living there, the cops who lived and worked in the city of St. Louis really wanted to live in the county. They didn't want to live in the city because these are people who see the crime every single day of the week when they go to work. And they're like, I don't want to live here. And so I guess their employment, the city of St. Louis, mandated that the cops had to live within city limits. But if they could skirt around that and somehow live outside, they did. It was a topic that was brought up quite often when I lived there in the newspapers and in the media. Kansas City is getting there. It's already there. We're already there for Kansas City now. Let's take a look at the article. Over at the Daily Mail, which is a UK publication, by the way. I mean, UK has its own share of crazy problems, but for some reason they want to talk about Kansas City. It says Midwest City's downtown is now Mad Max-style hellhole where locals are scared to go out after 8 p.m. Oh boy. It says surging crime and a diminishing police presence has turned a Missouri city into a hellhole, leaving locals afraid to step outside after dark. Downtown Kansas City has become a hotspot for illegal street racing and reckless ATV and dirt bike riders tearing through the neighborhoods, chaos that escalated last month when a police officer was hit by an ATV. Now, frustrated business owners and locals are weighing whether to abandon downtown altogether. You should have got out a long time ago, buddy. Blaming the Dem-run city's leadership and law enforcement for failing to curb the chaos and restore a sense of safety. Yeah, that's called accountability. We don't know what that is anymore. That ship sailed a long time ago. This isn't a race issue. This isn't a political issue. This is a safety issue, David Lopez, a local... See, what are you talking about? Absolutely it is. Listen, there's a reality. There is a certain segment of people who normally vote one way. They vote one way. So to say this isn't a race issue and that this isn't a political issue is just living in a dream world. And as long as you, David Lopez, continue to live in that dream world, the dream will continue. He says chaos right outside is a constant occurrence, posing an extreme danger for the surrounding community. I feel as though this city is about as unsafe as it's been since my family has been at 207 Southwest Boulevard, and that's 45 years. This September, he says. So he's been here 45 years. It's never been as unsafe as it is right now. Well, of course, because we've seen this continued descent into moral oblivion. We don't have a moral compass. We don't know what is right and wrong anymore. In 1960, we got the Bible taken out of schools and we stopped teaching children, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder. What was so wrong with that? Apparently a lot, because the U.S. Supreme Court dictated in 1960 at the Madeleine Murray O'Hair case to remove those things out of the schools. And so we don't teach those to children anymore. And now we're at the place where those chickens have come home to roost. We have a complete and total society where people have never heard about moral objectivity. They've never heard about moral accountability. They've never heard about simple right and wrong. And that's what we got. That's where we're at. And I saw this again. I saw this years ago. Lots of other people have seen this and are also moving out of cities into more rural areas where people have a traditional way of doing, a more traditional way of doing things. Not only is the community, it says, feeling the impact as they return to the safety of their own homes by nightfall, but long-standing local businesses are bearing the brunt, watching foot traffic vanish and revenue slip away. People are going to leave. That's it, Lopez, the general manager of Manny's Mexican restaurant, added to the outlet. Democrat Mayor Quentin Lucas has faced growing anger over the mounting chaos. Yeah, because he doesn't want to do anything. And the people will leave, just like I left and many others have left. And this is something that we've experienced in New York City. I mean, I've done videos about that too, where, what's the guy's name? Oh, he's on YouTube. I can't remember his name. Anyway, it's right on the tip of my tongue. He's got a really big YouTube channel, 1 million or more subscribers. And he left New York City and moved to Texas. And he's like, he was sick of fighting with the city. It was too hard to run a business. The crime was out of control. And leasing rates were through the roof for businesses that couldn't make money anyway. So why pay the high lease? It was just pointless. And so the businesses closed down. The crime's out of control. And the only way you fix this is severe punishment, severe accountability for people's actions. When people act stupid, it needs to hurt. It's that easy. At 8 p.m. on a Saturday, we used to be getting our third turn, but now at 8 p.m., I cut 3 serves, a bartender, and 3 kitchen staff, he continued. Bradley Gilmore, owner of Lula's Southern Cookhouse, agreed, explaining he's personally watched crime rise and police presence disappear right outside his business. Yeah, the police aren't going to stick around because it's dangerous for them. They're not stupid. You know, there's nothing they can do to stop the crime because their hands are being held by the politicians, the bureaucrats in that city. So they're not allowed to administer justice the way they were trained and the way the community wants them to do so. Because if they do it, they get, thrown into court, thrown into jail. The whole community turns on them. And so they're not going to roll the dice and take the chances. So they're going to leave, which is going to leave you as a business owner on your own. Last month, the issue was thrust even further into public view when a reckless ATV rider slammed into a police officer in downtown Kansas City, leaving the cop briefly hospitalized with severe head injuries. Again, if you're a cop and you know the politicians are not going to back you on your administration of justice, and you have a complete and total potential of not coming home because the crime's out of control and you can't do anything about it, you're not going to go out there and put your life on the line. You have a family, you probably have a wife, you might have children. You're not going to put all that at risk for stopping crime, and especially if it means landing you in jail and leaving your family burdened for the rest of their lives. No. So you're going to do what every cop with half an intelligent brain is going to do. You're going to leave. So this is why I've said before on my channel, and I've said before on X, if you haven't followed me on X yet, you need to go over to X. If you're on X, follow me, look up an American Homestead. I think it's Homestead America. You can find me on there. But I've said before many times, the only way this gets fixed is when we get to a point when we are without rule of law. Right now, we are living in a time of rule of law. Okay, WROL, without rule of law, is where we need to get to. When that happens, historically, when you look back throughout history, you will see that there are men who step up, because there are always men who will step up, and they will take out the trash, and they will start cleaning up this place. The cities, the other places, even in places in rural America, like right now, there's a drug problem even in my county, okay? There is a meth problem in my county, and we only have like 7 sheriff deputies in my county, like 7 or 8 maybe. It's not a lot. Whatever it is, it's like less than 10. You can't keep crime, down in a large county like we live in with like less than 10 deputies. They got to be on shifts. They're not all out there at the same time. So what are you going to do? You're just not going to do. And so at some point, when we get to a point where we are without rule of law and the men out there can be unleashed to take care of business because they're not having to worry about a stupid lawyer out there somewhere that's going to put them in prison for doing what needs to be done, because that's what Shakespeare said. How do you fix things? You kill all the lawyers. Shakespeare said that, not me. That's Shakespeare. And he's right for a long time. That's right. We have way too many lawyers who are keeping the criminals protected. And so when we get to a point of without rule of law and we lose society as a whole, the real men can one step up again. The great reset happens, and then men can take out trash. And sometimes the sad part about that is that the good men will also have to pay the price for being able to do that. But that's the way society gets fixed. And right now we have a society that protects the criminals. We have lawyers and bureaucrats and politicians who protect the criminals. The only way that gets fixed is one way only. Take out the trash. And so we're far from that yet. And speaking of this whole thing, you have Great Britain that just recently has decided that they will now lock up any street preacher, anyone who hands out Bibles, anyone who hands out pamphlets, anyone who's caught praying in public. They'll throw them in jail. Here's the clip.
Now, the Labour-run Rushmore Borough Council has sparked outrage by proposing a sweeping injunction that could see Christian street preachers in prison for up to 2 years if the injunction is breached, now over claims of causing offence or distress. Now, under the proposed terms, Christians will be banned from praying for individuals, handing out religious leaflets or Bibles by hand, and laying hands on people in prayer, even with their permission.
Meanwhile, if you do this on a London street, you're perfectly fine. The world's upside down, folks. The world's upside down. The Ottoman Empire was defeated and pushed out of Europe for a reason, because it's like a disease. It's like the Borg. You will adapt. Their resistance is futile. And the only way you push the Borg out of Europe again is to become like the Crusaders of old and do what needs to be done and take out the trash. But we have no resolve right now at this point. So it'll continue to descend into chaos, and people will move out of the cities, and they will begin moving into rural areas. And even in the rural areas, it goes downhill because you got a bunch of city people who are retards. And I can't say that. I forget I'm on YouTube sometimes. A bunch of city people who are not intelligent, and they are bringing the same sort of Karen-ness out to the rural communities. And the rural communities then descend into what the cities have become. Increased legislation, increased regulation, increased zoning, increased ordinances. And then you wake up one day and your entire life is micromanaged the way it was in the city. And it just repeats itself. It spreads like a disease. Oh boy, what a world we're living in. What a world we're living in. All right, there's that. There's your news for the day. And I posted a video over on Patreon just this morning because YouTube wouldn't let me put it up. I wanted to showcase where modern homesteading has descended into by showing some funny clips. And YouTube said I can't publish that over at YouTube. Even though I see all kinds of other channels with much bigger subscriber counts than I have who are allowed to do this and critique other channels, but somehow my channel's not allowed to do that. So I posted over at Patreon. You can go over and view that post over there. You don't have to be a patron to view that post, okay? Its link is down below. Just find the post over there. There's a number of things over there and reasons why you should join Patreon. Number one is this right here. I give this book to everyone for free. It's all the Perfect Pickler recipe book and instruction booklet, but it gives the benefits of probiotics, growing your own probiotics at home, and all that entails. And then it gives a lot of recipes. But any patron can download that for free. We just redid that. And then also these two books over at Patreon, you can get these. If you buy these on Amazon, you're going to pay at least several $100s, if not several thousand. I see the price fluctuate. Sometimes it's like 400. I think right now I've seen these books for as low as $400, $500. But they have gone up to as much as $2,000 in the past. The reason why they're so expensive is because they're out of copyright, they're out of print, and the information contained within is very, very valuable. It's valuable information that was written over 100 years ago by this guy named Dr. A.B. Howard. A lot of the Rockefellers wanted to get this information pushed out of culture, out of the cultural mindset, because they wanted to be able to patent and patent basically a bunch of medications that you had to pay for, whereas this stuff grows in your backyard. It includes color photos of all the different things you can find growing in your backyard, especially this time of year, and then you can tincture these and then use these. This is my medicine cabinet, okay? Having this right now before economic turmoil and economic collapse is a great way to safeguard a lot of things you might need medically in the years and days ahead. So be sure to get these. I give these for all my patrons get this, even if you join for as little as $1 a month. $1 a month gets you access to these books, which are several $100s on Amazon. And then you get access to this, download that for free. And then also you get access to a whole bunch of video clips. I just put up a complete and total chicken coop walkthrough tour, okay, of all of our chicken coop, including some of our incubators. So you can go and have access to that. You have access to my chicken coop blueprints. You have access to my smokehouse blueprints. You have access to my butchering videos. You have access to my ham radio communications videos. All that you have access to for as little as $1 a month. If you join at higher levels, I really appreciate that. That really helps the homestead. And sometimes for people at the higher levels, I send them things in the mail like smoked salt or recipe cards or things like that. So I really appreciate everyone who helps out over at patreon.com. It keeps the channel going because YouTube hates my guts. Those days are long gone. The early days of YouTube. I talked about that a little bit in the video I just did. That I put up over there talking about the homesteading going off the rails and why that happened. I don't know why. It's just, what a mess. What an absolute mess we're in today. And homesteading, it's just your only option. I have said long and often that if you push preparedness to its logical conclusion, you will always end up on a homestead. And people who are serious about preparedness, because they see the trajectory of where our country's headed, they're going to get to a homestead because that's the ultimate prep. Ultimate. What do you think? I'd love to hear comments below. Guys, there's been a number of you out there who have shared our Perfect Pickler website, perfectpickler.com, on social media. I really appreciate that. That really helps us in the search algorithms because Perfect Pickler we're trying to up our SEO, our search engine optimization on Google and other search engines. And sharing our link, perfectpickler.com, either on social media or even on your own website, really does help that because every time Google crawls a website and sees a link for Perfect Pickler, it helps us in the search rankings. So go ahead and do that if you can. I really appreciate some of you guys who have already done that. It means a lot. All right. Perfectpickler.com is the website. See you next time in the homestead. Bye. Have you ever gone to a health food store and seen all those small bottles of probiotics in your cooler section? Man, can they be pricey. Are you really getting all you need to improve your gut health from those expensive bottles? How viable are they? Most of those products claim to give you between 8 and 15 strains of gut-healthy healing bacteria. Think of each strain of bacteria as a different factory in your gut. Each factory is responsible for breaking down that food in its own way. The more factories you have, the more the food is broken down and the easier the food is absorbed and digested by the body. A 2018 study published by the National Library of Medicine shows that one fermented head of cabbage can produce up to 114 strains of beneficial bacteria. That's a lot more food factories than you're getting from that expensive pill bottle. And that's just cabbage. Imagine the probiotics when you add garlic, onions, pepper, and more to that ferment. PerfectPickler.com and its home fermentation kits provide you with everything you need to get started making your own gut-healthy food factories from the comfort of your own kitchen. PerfectPickler.com even provides a jam-packed recipe book with many of our kits. Visit PerfectPickler.com and start fermenting your own veggies to begin your journey to better gut health. That's PerfectPickler.com. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.